The United Kingdom is on the brink of collapse. The individual parts of Wales, Northern Ireland and Scotland in particular are increasingly vehemently demanding independence from England. But as if that wasn't bad enough, another part of the country is now getting involved in the dispute with London. We are talking about the Orkney Islands, a group of islands in the north of Great Britain. The inhabitants there have maintained their own culture and customs for centuries and have never really felt part of the rest of the country. This is because the islands were actually Norwegian and were only given to Scotland in a controversial deal. And so many inhabitants are still wondering when they will become citizens of Norway again and seem to want to take advantage of the opportunity. In recent weeks, the government has openly discussed alternative forms of government, including separation from the United Kingdom and Scotland and a possible annexation to Norway. So today we look at another episode of chaos in the UK. Why do Orkney want to return to Norway? How likely is it to happen in reality? And how is the government in London responding? We look at all these questions in today's video. The Orkney Islands are an archipelago of around 70 islands located just 10 kilometers northeast of the Scottish coast. And due to their proximity to the coast, they have always been an important pivotal point in history. The islands played a particularly important role in the Viking Age. From the year 1700, the Vikings began to settle and colonize the islands. It is believed that the Vikings originally used the islands as a base for raids in Scotland, Ireland and beyond. Over time, however, the nature of their presence changed from temporary raids to permanent settlement. The Orkney Islands eventually served as their main base for expansion in the North Sea. The Norwegian Vikings established settlements, trading posts and monumental buildings such as the Earl's Palace in Kirkwall, which served as a symbol of their power. And from here, trade was organized to Scotland, England and even continental Europe. The Vikings also significantly changed the culture of the Orkney Islands. They brought their Norse language and Scandinavian traditions with them, including their Old Norse mythology. Many place names on the Orkney Islands still bear witness to the strong Viking presence. And until around the year 1400, the islands were to remain under the control of the Norwegian king. But times had changed. Powerful players were growing up in Great Britain in the shape of England and Scotland, which continued to diminish Norway's power. There were numerous disputes between the various kingdoms, and in the year 1468, the Norwegian king agreed to a momentous deal. To temporarily settle the dispute with Scotland, he gave his daughter Margaret to the King of Scotland. And as part of the dowry, he also transferred the Orkney Islands to Scotland. Although this was initially only intended as a temporary pledge, the Scots never returned the islands. They consolidated their power and continued to develop the islands politically and economically. Much to the displeasure of the population, who continued to feel drawn to the Nordic culture and cultivated their own customs and language for many centuries. They felt betrayed by Scotland and later by the government in London. And this is a recurring theme in the history of Orkney to this day. One community leader commented, "On the street in Orkney, people ask me when we will give back the dowry, when we will belong to Norway again." And what for a long time only smoldered in people's minds could now actually become reality. Various proposals for alternative forms of government have been vehemently discussed in recent weeks. These include a status similar to that of the Faroe Islands in Denmark. Although this archipelago officially belongs to Denmark, it enjoys extensive autonomy. Another option would be to become a British Crown estate similar to the Channel Islands, in order to become a largely self-governing tax haven. This could help the ailing economy to get back on its feet and compensate for the lack of transfer payments from Scotland and England. The Orkney government claims to receive considerably less financial support than other islands in the kingdom, such as Shetland and the Outer Hebrides. And the final step, of course, is complete separation from the United Kingdom and reintegration into Norway. This proposal naturally causes London and Edinburgh the biggest headaches, which is why the British Prime Minister directly rejected any proposals in this direction. After all, it would of course be a huge strategic loss if another country were to receive a group of islands right on its own doorstep. Ultimately, however, the inhabitants of the Orkney Islands will probably shape their own destiny. Many see a possible secession of Scotland as a suitable time to break away, and we will certainly be hearing more about the archipelago in the future.